brewing coffee at home. We're going to start with 25 grams of coffee. I've already got it ground here. We're doing a medium grind setting. This is one of the variables that we're going to be able to control to get the strength that we want. So I'm using a scale, a water heater, and this is called a V60 dripper. There's a lot of different brewing methods out there, and you can choose whatever one you have handy. They all work on the same basic premise. We're dissolving solids from the coffee grounds into water. So there's a few variables that we can control when we're trying to figure out how much of that extraction we want. One of them is the grind setting. If you have access to a grinder, the finer you grind coffee, the more extraction you'll get out of it. If you don't have a grinder, you can just control how much the dose is. So we typically refer to doses, or we refer to ratios. So today we're going to be using 1 part coffee to 15 parts water. If you want a stronger cup of coffee, you can just use more coffee. If it's a little over extracted and bitter, you can use a little bit less coffee. But that ratio, 1 to 15, is what we're going to be brewing on today. So I've started with 25 grams of coffee ground medium, and we're going to go ahead and do 375 grams of water. One of the things that's really helpful when you're brewing coffee manually is to get a nice even extraction. So we want to make sure all of the ground coffee gets the same amount of water on it. Water tends to find the path of least resistance. So if you just pour in one spot, you're going to get that spot is going to get over extracted while the rest of the coffee stays under extracted, and you'll have a really uneven cup of coffee. So I'm going to pour just a little bit of water in there. We're going to let it bloom. It's going to let a lot of the gases out. We'll give it a few seconds to settle, and then I'll do the rest of the pour. So I'm watching my scale down here, and I'm just watching for 375 grams. And you can see that I'm going around in a circle to make sure all of the coffee gets the same amount of water. And I'm trying to pour at a rate where water is going into the V60 at the same rate that it's coming out the bottom. This gooseneck kettle that I'm using is really helpful to make that happen. If you don't have one of these, you can just use a pitcher with a spout, but it's definitely harder to be as accurate with your pour speed and with making sure all of the grounds get the same amount. So there we have 375 grams of water. This will take about 45 seconds or so to slowly drain through, and then we can taste it and see if it's the strength that we want. Going forward, if we decided that it's too weak, we can always add a little bit more coffee or grind a little bit finer. All right, now all the water has gone through the ground coffee. One of the things that we can look at on a V60 is how even the bed is on the top. It's a nice even bed. That means that it's an even extraction. The water passed through the coffee grounds evenly. We'll put this aside and try our coffee. One thing that's really helpful when you're manually brewing coffee is if you preheat everything. There's a lot of surfaces that will sap the heat away as you're brewing. So if you preheat your cup and you preheat your carafe and you even preheat the V60, that's going to help give you a nice cup of coffee. Yeah, nice hot cup of coffee at the end.